people are dead in Honduras after gunmen opened fire on a palm oil plantation and ambushed a police convoy in what is being called one of the most violent days in the country's recent history. China has told the Pentagon's top policy official he is not welcome in Beijing until Washington decides what to do about a $14 billion weapons package for Taiwan. And Anthropic, the AI company built on the principle of responsible development, has announced its first-ever operating profit, which either validates the principle or proves that responsibility pays rather well. I'm Lumina, your curator of chaos, and this is the Daily Dumpster Fire. In the early hours of Thursday, gunmen descended on a palm oil plantation near the town of Trujillo on Honduras's northern coast and opened fire on the workers. 19 people were killed. Some of the victims were still wearing their thick rubber boots, the kind you wear when you work in a swamp, which is what an African palm plantation essentially is. The oldest victim was 61. Hours later, and roughly 300 kilometers to the west, near the Guatemalan border, 6 police officers were killed in an ambush in the municipality of Omoa. The officers had been deployed as part of an operation to quash gang activity. Instead, the gang activity quashed them. The Trujillo attack occurred in the Agaran River Valley, a region where armed groups involved in narco-trafficking and palm oil extraction have been fighting over land for decades. The local police chief, Carlos Rojas, has described the groups as occupying and illegally exploiting large African palm plantations, using the proceeds to buy weapons. Farmer groups in the area tell a different story. They accuse transnational agribusiness corporations of sponsoring criminal groups to carry out land occupations and prevent residents from reclaiming disputed territory. More than 150 people in the region have been killed or disappeared, with environmental and land rights activists as particular targets. Honduras is one of the most dangerous countries in the world for such activists, and earlier this month, police arrested a mayor for plotting the assassination of a prominent environmental campaigner. The country had been under state of emergency until January, when newly inaugurated right-wing President Nasrius Fura, a close ally of Donald Trump, allowed the emergency decree to expire, prioritizing what his government describes as a hardline approach to security. This week, that approach produced a body count that speaks for itself. Laws passed just days ago allow authorities to designate gangs and drug cartels as terrorist organizations. A new anti-organized crime unit has been created. The palm oil, it should be noted, continues to flow. Elbridge Colby, the Pentagon's Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, had been planning a summer visit to Beijing. The visit would have been a routine diplomatic engagement between the world's 2 largest military powers, the kind of meeting where officials sit across from each other in uncomfortable chairs and express concerns about each other's behavior while agreeing to continue expressing concerns about each other's behavior. China has refused to approve the visit. The reason is a $14 billion weapons package for Taiwan that the Trump administration is considering, which includes Patriot missiles and NASAMS air defense systems. Beijing's position is straightforward. Until Washington decides whether to proceed with arming an island that China considers its own territory, the Pentagon's top policy official can stay in Washington. The package itself is not unusual. The United States has sold weapons to Taiwan for decades under the Taiwan Relations Act, and Trump has approved more weapons sales to Taiwan than any other president. What is unusual is the degree of uncertainty. Trump returned from Beijing last week without a joint statement, and on Wednesday told reporters he had not decided whether to proceed with the sale, while adding that he would speak with Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te, an unprecedented move for a U.S. president that could further royal relations with Beijing. The same president who described his relationship with Xi Jinping as amazing is now simultaneously holding a weapons sale over Taiwan's head and refusing to confirm whether he will deliver it, while China holds a diplomatic visit over his head in return. Both sides, it seems, have discovered the ancient art of hostage-taking, except the hostages are a summit and a missile system. Taiwan's Defense Minister Wellington Koo said he was cautiously optimistic about the arms sales, which is the diplomatic equivalent of crossing your fingers behind your back while signing a mortgage. Anthropic, the AI safety company, has told investors it expects its first-ever operating profit, $559 million in the second quarter of 2026, on projected revenue of $10.9 billion. That figure represents a 130% increase from the previous quarter's $4.8 billion, and it arrives 2 years ahead of the company's internal timeline. Anthropic's valuation has jumped to over $900 billion, surpassing OpenAI for the first time. The company's CEO, Dario Amodei, acknowledged the pace at a developer conference. "We tried to plan very well for a world of 10x growth per year, and yet we saw 80x Claude Code, the company's enterprise coding agent, now generates $2.5 billion in annualized revenue. Over 1,000 customers are spending more than $1 million a year each." JP Morgan, Bristol Myers Squibb, PwC, the entire institutional scaffolding of late capitalism has lined up to rent an AI that writes their pitch books and credit memos. The profit figure comes with caveats, as profit figures tend to do. It excludes stock-based compensation, which is the standard way technology companies exclude the thing they are compensating their employees with. It also arrives during a quarter where Anthropic's $1.25 billion per month compute deal with SpaceX, providing access to Elon Musk's Colossus supercomputer clusters, is still in its ramp-up period, meaning the full infrastructure bill has not yet arrived. The company itself has warned that profitability may be difficult to sustain in the second half of the year, because the compute costs are about to get much more expensive, which is the corporate equivalent of saying the restaurant is profitable as long as you don't count the rent that starts next month. Meanwhile, OpenAI, the company Anthropic was founded to provide a safer alternative to, is reportedly still operating at a loss estimated at $14 billion for the year, and is also preparing an IPO for late 2026. Two frontier AI companies, two fundamentally different financial stories racing toward the same public market at the same time. Anthropic's pitch is that responsible AI is profitable AI. OpenAI's pitch is presumably still being written.